Trading can feel like the easiest thing in the world when you're winning. When the market is moving in your favor consistently, but what happens when you take that first loss? And then another loss after that, and then that third loss? Do you resort to old habits that you've worked so hard to overcome? Do you go on an emotional tilt? Do you begin to over leverage to try to work yourself out of that drawdown? Or do you stick to the plan? I believe that the great traders are made not when you're in profit, but when you're in drawdown, and I'll tell you why. If you're a human and you're a trader, you have 3 things that are guaranteed in life. 1, taxes. 2, death. 3, drawdown. The markets would not be the markets if they weren't trying to shake out the non-professionals consistently. We are playing a game of gambling whether people want to admit it or not. Trading closely reflects poker. It is a game of odds. The better the hand, the more you should bet. The worse the hand, the less you should bet. You have hands that are so much better than others, but even those great hands, the odds aren't 100% usually. So when you're always faced with the possibility of loss, why not consider that if you want to be a professional? There is a saying that is cliche, but it's the truth. The best loser wins. Because losses are inevitable, you have to plan for them. Before you enter a trade, you have to know your exact risk. If you don't know your exact risk, you're setting yourself up for a huge loss. A huge loss. If you don't have clear-cut rules and parameters to work within, you're operating out of the realm of chaos. The markets are already hard enough as it is. Why would you operate in the realm of chaos? It makes absolutely no sense. But it goes against our human nature. That is why it's so hard. Our human nature is when we take a loss, we want to make back that loss as quickly as possible. And in trading, that can create an extremely bad situation. After 5 years of trading experience, I've witnessed extremely volatile conditions. I've seen limit up, I've seen limit down. I've also seen extremely choppy conditions where essentially the market seemed as if it was trying to seek and destroy everything there. I've also seen traders make enormous amounts of money and lose everything. I've seen traders leave the game as well. The traders that survive in this market are the ones that have an extremely disciplined approach to what it is they're doing. They have rules set and they don't deviate from them. They understand the market conditions that they're in, and if they're not favorable for them, they will pull back their risk. Also in drawdown, they usually tend to risk less in drawdown, especially if they're in deep drawdown. The traders who are usually profitable, the deeper they are in drawdown, the less they're risking. Another thing that I also want to touch on that a lot of traders, they don't get, letting your winners run is also a part of risk management. I'll explain why. If you can have a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio or a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, one trade can take care of 3 or 4 losses. That one trade can be what keeps you in the game mentally. Trading is easy when your market conditions are giving you a 70-80% win rate. But I think it's almost inevitable for every trader that they'll go through periods where their win rate might be sub 40%, sub 35%. And the question is, what do you do in those situations? How do you approach the market? I believe with a large enough risk to reward, you can still make money in those conditions. It's just a lot more challenging because you have to deal with the emotions of losing more often than winning. A scenario I like to bring up is Tom Brady when he played the Falcons in the Super Bowl. The New England Patriots, they were down 28-3 at half. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots came back to win that game. A game where the odds were stacked against them in the magnitude that the sports book said, hey, they're not winning this game. That everyone started to say, hey, they're not winning this game. But because of the greatness that was something in Tom Brady, because Tom Brady was great, because he had the mental capacity to say, hey, this game is not over, he was able to work through that drawdown period. This is a common trait found in those who can operate at a high level. They don't get too high in the highs and they don't get too low in the lows. If you want to be great as a trader, I challenge you to not focus on the wins, because if you have a good strategy, the wins will come. I challenge you to focus on the losses. If you become the best loser possible, it's almost impossible not to win. I hope this video was insightful. This is Havin Academy, where you'll learn how to have and not to have that. You all take it easy.